You guys love Ben Franklin videos. They're one of the best ways for you to improve listening comprehension and learn tricks to sound more natural when speaking English, like using specific reductions. This January, you're getting 5 all-new Ben Franklin videos where we do a full analysis of real American English conversations. Today's topic, grocery shopping. Let's get started with this analysis. First, the whole conversation.
Just got my first weird look.
But you know what, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
I know. At the end of the day, it's the students who matter.
That's right.
Okay, green
Ooh,
beans.
cranberries, fresh.
Oh yeah. Oh, and I was hoping that we wouldn't have to buy a huge bag. How many do we need?
Now, the analysis.
Just got my first weird look.
I just got my first weird look. The words that I hear being the most stressed there are just, weird, and look. They're a little bit longer. So I just got my first weird look. Let's talk about the pronunciations of T here. They're interesting. First, we have a stop T in got my. This is how we usually pronounce an ending T when the next word begins with a consonant. Got my. So it's not ga my, with a continuous flow of sound, but it's got my, got. An abrupt stop for the word, then the word my. Got my. We stop the air in our throat, and that signifies the stop T. Got my.
Got my.
The other two T's are also ending T's, but now they're part of a cluster, the ST cluster. And it's very common when a T is between two other consonants to drop that T. So if you look, when we link the two words together, which we always do with a thought group, the T's now come between two consonants. So we will drop them. This is so common with ST ending clusters. When the next word begins with a consonant, we drop it. So the word just is a very common word, and when it is followed by a consonant word, we drop that T sound. So instead of I just got, it becomes I just got, just got. The S sound right into the G. Does this sound familiar to you? Do you think you've heard Americans doing this? It's really common. Just got.
Just got my first weird look.
And for first weird, we pronounce that first weird. First weird, right from the S into the W. And this helps us link the two words more smoothly. And we always like a smooth line in American English.
First weird look. First weird look. First weird look.
But you know what, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
I know.
She's speaking really quickly here. But you know what, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. So even though she's speaking really quickly, some of the syllables are a little bit longer, and that's what helps make it clear to a native listener. Let's just look at the first sentence. But you know what? No and what. Both a little bit longer. We have a stop T at the end of what. But you know what? The intonation goes up at the end. It's a yes/no question.
But you know what.
What about but and you? She pronounces that so quickly. Bia. She actually drops the T, which isn't that common in general, but in this phrase, which is pretty common, but you know what? Or you know what? We say that quite a bit. And in a phrase that's more common, we tend to do even more reductions because of the familiarity. We know that it will still be understood. So it's very common to pronounce this phrase, but you know what? Bia. These two words linked together said very quickly become just the B sound and the schwa, b. Then the Y sound and the schwa, a common reduction of the word you, bia. But you know what?
But you know what, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
I know.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. End, a little bit longer. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. So those syllables are a little bit longer, which provides a little contrast with her very fast speech, her very fast, unstressed words. And we do need this contrast of stressed and unstressed to sound natural in American English. So let's look at the unstressed words, at and the.
At the end of the day. At the end of the day. At the end of the day.
It's actually at the, and the vowel is so fast, this can either be the whole a vowel, or it can be the schwa, or at.
At the end of the day. At the end of the day. At the end of the day.
It doesn't really matter. What matters is that it's said incredibly quickly. We have a stop T, so the word at is cut off a little abrupt. You stop the air in your throat. And the E here is pronounced as the E as in she vowel because the next word begins with a vowel or diphthong sound. If the next word began with a consonant sound, then it would be the, which is what we get here. Here it's pronounced as the schwa because the next sound is a consonant sound. So we have the end and the day. But of course it's not pronounced that clearly, is it? Because this isn't an important word. So it's at the.
At the end of the day. At the end of the day. At the end of the day.
Of and the becomes other. The whole word of is reduced to just the schwa, which we link onto the word the, other. End of the day. End of the day. At the end of the day.
End of the day. End of the day. End of the day.
So making these less important words really quickly helps provide the contrast we need. Practice that with me. At the. Other.
At the end of the day. At the end of the day. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
I know.
The words it and doesn't also said pretty quickly. Another stop T here. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
I
matter.
know.
It doesn't
I
matter.
know.
It doesn't
I
matter.
know.
It doesn't matter. Now, I think I hear the T here being totally dropped as well. This is pretty common. We either drop the T or we make it sort of a nasal stop sound to signify the NT. Doesn't. But here, I think she's just making the N sound glide right into the M sound. Doesn't matter. And because of that smooth connection, there's no stop. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The word it, very quick stop after it. But these two words are still said pretty quickly. It doesn't matter. And then the stressed syllable a with the a vowel in matter. And then we have a flap T. Matter.
It doesn't
I
matter.
know.
It doesn't
I
matter.
know.
It doesn't
I
matter.
know.
I know. So I said this at the same time she was saying, doesn't matter. I know. It's a two-word phrase and stress is on the word no, but the pitch of the whole phrase is smooth. It's not I know, but it's this smooth line connecting. I know. It's the smooth change in pitch, this rise and fall of intonation that makes one of the characteristics of American English. Smooth transitions. We want the words to be linked. We want the change in intonation to be smooth so that nothing's choppy. I know.
I know. I know. I know. At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, now here I definitely reduce the vowel to the schwa, stop T. At the end of the day, again, the whole phrase is very smooth. At the end of the day, with end and day being a little bit longer, also having that peak in intonation. Again, the letter E here makes the E as in she vowel because the next word begins with a vowel sound. And here it makes the schwa because the next word begins with a consonant. So we have at the end. And then I also drop the V sound and make just the schwa, other. These two words said very quickly. The day. At the end of the day.
At the end of the day. At the end of the day. At the end of the day. It's the students who matter.
It's the students who matter. And here, stew is the most stressed syllable of that phrase. Ma, also a little stressed. Again, we have a flap T here, matter. It's the students who matter. It's the, said quickly. It's the. Stew. Didn't.
Students.
Then these two syllables more quickly. Ma, another little stretch. It's the students who matter. Smooth change in intonation with peaks on the stressed syllables.
It's the students who matter. It's the students who matter. It's the students who matter.
That's right.
That's right. That's right. That's right. The TH sound here, not terribly clear. She's not bringing the tongue tip through the teeth for it, but she's pressing the tongue tip on the backs of the teeth where the top and bottom teeth meet. That's right. It allows us to make that sound a little bit more quickly. That's right.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Now here we have the T-S cluster into the R. All of these sounds are pronounced. We get ts and then That's right. That's right. But this is a stop T where we cut off the air. The pitch doesn't fall down slowly. We have an abrupt stop. Right, right. That's right.
Right. Right. Right.
Okay, green beans.
Okay, green beans. Green, most stressed word in that phrase. And the pitch is all smooth. Okay, green beans. The pitch goes up, energy builds towards the stressed word, and then it falls away. Beans afterwards.
Okay, green beans. Okay, green beans. Okay, green beans.
While I say that, Laura says, ooh, ooh, ooh. Just a little exclamation you make when you notice something or something's important. You want to call attention to it. Or if you get excited about something, ooh, look at that.
Hey, green beans. Hey, green beans. Hey, green beans.
Cranberries.
Cranberries. Cranberries. Cranberries. Stress is on the first syllable there. That's a 3-syllable word. So the first syllable is cran. And the last 2 syllables are berries. Berries, berries. They're a little less clear, a little bit more mumbled. That's how unstressed syllables sound. Cranberries.
Cranberries. Cranberries. Cranberries. Fresh.
Fresh. Fresh. What do you notice about the intonation of that word? Fresh. It moves up and down. And that is the shape of a stressed syllable. Fresh. 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 We don't want flat pitches in American English.
Fresh. Fresh. Fresh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. A little unclear because my head is turned, so I'm not facing the mic. Oh, yeah. But you can still hear that the intonation is nice and smooth. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The words link together. There's no separation of the two words.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, and I was hoping.
Oh. This is like ooh. It's just a filler word, an exclamation. Oh. Do need some lip rounding for the second half of that diphthong. Oh.
Oh, and I was hoping that we wouldn't have to buy a huge bag.
And I was hoping that we wouldn't have to buy a huge bag. Buy a huge bag. These are the words that I hear being the most stressed here. The word and is reduced. We drop the D. And in the word was, we reduce the vowel from the as in butter to the schwa. That just means it's said even more quickly with less jaw drop, a little less clarity. I was. So these 3 words a little less clear than the stressed word hoping. Flatter in pitch, said more quickly.
And I was hoping that we wouldn't have to buy. And I was hoping that we wouldn't have to buy. And I was hoping that we wouldn't have to buy.
That we wouldn't have to buy. That we wouldn't have to buy. What's happening here? We have that we wouldn't have to, and then a little bit longer on buy. So how are we saying these words so quickly? The word that, we reduce the vowel to the schwa so that we can say it more quickly. That. Stop T, that we wouldn't have to.
That we wouldn't have to buy.
Wouldn't have to buy. That we wouldn't have to buy. Wouldn't have to Wouldn't have to. So again, I think I'm hearing this as a dropped T, just an N sound going right into the H. Wouldn't have to. The vowel here reduces to the schwa. And when we have an ending V linking into the word to, which begins with a T, it's often in this two-word combination to change the V sound to an F because T is unvoiced, so this becomes unvoiced. The V unvoiced is the F. Have to, have to, have to, have to. Try that with me. Have to, have to.
Have to, have to, have to.
That we wouldn't have to. That we wouldn't have to. That we wouldn't have to.
That we wouldn't have to. That we wouldn't have to. That we wouldn't have to.
What do you have to do to be able to say those words that quickly? We have to simplify mouth movements, we have to reduce some of the sounds, and the pitch doesn't change as much. It stays lower and flatter. There is not quite as much energy in the voice. All of these things are part of the important contrast between stressed and unstressed syllables.
That we wouldn't have to. That we wouldn't have to. That we wouldn't have to buy a huge bag. How many?
A huge bag. The schwa said very quickly. Huge, a little bit longer, and then bag has more of that up-down shape of stress. A huge bag.
A huge bag. A huge bag. A huge bag. How many do we need?
How many do we need? How, the question word. How many do we need? And need are the most stressed there. Many do we. These three words are said more quickly.
How many do we? How many do we? How many do we?
I don't reduce anything. All of the sounds stay the same. Some people, it could happen that I would reduce do to d. How many do we need? D, 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 with the schwa. That's okay. But I actually keep the oo vowel. What's more important here than whether or not I make that reduction is that the word is said incredibly quickly, and then it links into the word before and the word after. Many do we. Many do we. Many do we. Many do we.
How many do we? How many do we? How many do we?
And that provides a nice contrast with how and need. How many do we need? So it's long, short, 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 long, all with a smooth change in intonation.
How many do we need? How many do we need? How many do we need?
Let's listen to the whole conversation one more time.
Just got my first weird look.
But you know what? At the end of the day, it doesn't
I
matter.
know. At the end of the day, it's the students who matter.
That's right.
Okay, green
Ooh,
beans.
cranberries, fresh.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and I was hoping that we wouldn't have to buy a huge bag. How many do we need?
That analysis is really fun and helpful, right? Click here to see other Ben Franklin videos on my YouTube channel. But if you're ready to go even further, even bigger, I challenge you this January to start the new year off right with a new commitment to your English studies. Join my online school, Rachel's English Academy. There you will find tons of Ben Franklin speech analysis videos just like this one that you can't get anywhere else. They're longer, they cover more conversation, and I add more each month. You have to have the interest. You have to make the time to watch the videos, to work with the audio. Can you do this? To help you get in the door, to help you get started, I'm offering a discount for the month of January. You can get the first month of the Academy for just $5. Use the code START2018 at checkout. The fee is normally $14 a month, which is a steal for what you get. Tools and support for self-study to make a real difference in how you sound. If you sign up and this method doesn't help you, no problem. Just email me within 30 days and you'll get a full refund. This is a subscription and you will be charged every month with continuous access to everything, but you can cancel at any time. Just email me and I will make that happen for you. So get this deal and in 2018, get the accent you want. More fluency, more ease in American conversation. If you want to see my absolute latest video, click here. If you're new to the channel, check out this Where to Start playlist. Click here to subscribe. I make new videos on American English every Tuesday. To be sure we can keep in touch, click here to sign up for my newsletter. You'll get free lessons in your inbox every week.